here's Brody Brazil.
You know, the days and week before Thanksgiving are always busy and hectic, and in this case, I feel like there was something that came out that definitely got lost in the mix. This is from San Antonio, where Project Marvel was unveiled. This is something that behind the scenes they've been talking about and working on in private, but now it's been released to the general public, and there's just one rendering to go along for this entire project. This multi-billion-dollar project at this point has just one version of imagery, and it is this. And I know you're trying to understand, well, what is all of this? That right there is the Alamodome, which is definitely not how it currently looks right now, but that's all part of the upgrade, the facelift on the inside and the outside, and how they want to reimagine the Alamodome. This right here would be a brand new arena and home for the San Antonio Spurs. They want to bring them back closer to downtown. And this right here between the two is a land bridge over the interstate that would connect these two distinct sites. They want to connect downtown a little bit more and better to have everything kind of be seamless. And I really like this idea for San Antonio, but I also think it's going to be very difficult to pull off. More about Project Marvel. Again, it's been in the works for a long time. It was just revealed on the 21st of November. The total cost, including multiple different things, which we'll get into, billions. They're not even saying 3 billion, 5 billion, 7 billion, just billions. And the timeline is between 5 and 15 years, which is a dangerous timeline. I do understand that good things take time, and I also agree that you want to do things in phases so that you can accurately pay for them and understand them and be flexible with them. But 15 years, a lot's going to change in the next 15 years, and you may not even get to doing this entire project, which, by the way, entirely includes this: a new arena for the Spurs, a new indoor entertainment venue. They want to take, I think, a Courthouse and make it a 5,000-seat venue for music and concerts and other events like that. They want to expand the convention center, add a new hotel, that land bridge we talked about, and also reimagining the Alamodome, which is, by the way, a totally unique sports stadium and event venue that was put up with, I think, a lot of grand ambitions. I don't know that it has fulfilled any of those since the early 90s. This is kind of the overview here, so you can see where the arena would go, where the Alamodome currently is, where the event venue would be, how they want to expand the convention center. So this is all right downtown, right next to the Riverwalk in San Antonio. And yeah, in a lot of ways, like, this is the perfect scenario and platform. It's all already close together. They want to just fix up some things they have, connect it with some pieces in between. It's not that crazy from an idea standpoint. The Spurs are the main thing here, though. They want to get the Spurs back downtown. I'll explain that in just a second. Frost Bank Arena, formerly known as what I think AT&T Center, it opened up in 2002. That's not it. This is the new arena rendering, by the way. It's amazing that we're 22 years into the existence of an arena. And I know the Spurs lease is not expiring until 2032, so it's still more than a handful of years away, but we're already talking about replacing a 20-year-old arena, 22-year-old arena. It's just the way things happen, especially in Texas, but especially here in North America. We do not do a good job at building and designing stadiums that last for the long term. The Spurs say, of course, they are thrilled, quote, thrilled, to see the city's interest in providing them with a new home or creating this opportunity for them to move. And here's where the Frost Bank Center is, a little bit east of San Antonio, and clearly you can see downtown is where they want to be all over again. So in a lot of ways, this takes the main pro sports team of San Antonio, right, and it puts them in a much bigger and better and prominent location. They don't have Major League Baseball. They don't have an NFL team or an NHL team. So they're trying to take care of their biggest entity in the San Antonio Spurs. They're also trying to do something with the Alamodome here, which, as I said before, is a venue that opened up in the early 90s, and I think it had a lot of ideas to it. They wanted to build the venue and try and attract something with it. They never really got the Alamodome to have a main tenant in one of the major pro sports leagues for a sustained period of time. It's just been a very interesting building. Opened up in 1993. Back then cost $186 million. I know that is crazy to think that small dollar amount these days, what that gets you, not much. The capacity is great. It's actually great in the sense that it's very flexible. They've hosted basketball games there. They've hosted hockey games there. The capacity can be as small as 20,000, but this stadium can also seat up to 77,000. So the one good thing they did do in designing the Alamodome was made it super versatile, right? You can host a variety of different things there they never just found that main one thing to kind of bank on and have the proper use happen out of this venue. It got expanded in 2006. The Alamodome got renovated in 2008, as well as 2017. And even as recently as 2023, the city of San Antonio approved a $29 million upgrade package so that this building could continue as soon as next year hosting NCAA Final Four games. It's a big deal for them, and it was something that apparently they were going to lose if they did not upgrade their facility, they say. So they've put money back into the Alamodome, but again, what's the major pro sports team that has called this place home 30 plus years? There's a lot of buildings across North America where they've had a hockey team the entire time. They've had a basketball team the entire time, had a baseball team the entire time. The Alamo Bowl is the only thing that has been there from 93 to present. The Spurs did play there for basically a decade, early 90s to early 2000s. The Texans, the San Antonio Texans of the CFL, the Canadian Football League, Dragons of Hockey, the Saints used it 1 year during Hurricane Katrina in 2005. UTSA football started there in 2011. They still play there. The Talons of the AFL, the Commanders of the AAF, and the Brahmas of the UFL from 2023 until now. But again, they built this probably thinking an NFL team would land there or some other main pro sports team would play all their games there. It just has not happened that way. So they're trying to get more use out of the Alamodome. I understand that. More on that in just a second. The John Woods Courthouse, they want to gut the courthouse and make this into a 5,000-seat entertainment venue. I guess that's a good idea if you're not using the courthouse, if you're going to maintain the building and use the structure. Could be pretty cool. I just wanted to show you that was also part of the plans. Here's what the city says and how they're going to do this. The arena for the Spurs will not be funded by general taxpayers. They want to do a potential capture of 6% with hotel and occupancy tax within the 3-mile project site. So it's not going to affect everywhere in San Antonio, but in that district, kind of like an infrastructure tax finance district, that's how they want to pay for this. Also, possible community venues tax of up to 25% from local sales tax with voter approval. Now, I need to dive deeper on how, where, and what exactly that is connected to, but they're trying to pay for these upgrades, trying to pay for all of this with people who come in and generate business in this site and in this area over time. The Alamodome has been called a dinosaur, and officials said in San Antonio that the convention center, they said, is missing out on $700 million in the last 5 years alone of conventions that did not choose to come to San Antonio. They went elsewhere because San Antonio doesn't have the proper space, size, and resources for those events and those conventions. There are some questions already. And WOAI Television News 4, I think that's the NBC affiliate in San Antonio, they're already asking a lot of questions about this. They like the idea, you'd have to think, but they've got some questions like which private investment options are being explored, right? If this is not going to be mostly funded by public tax dollars, who's going to privately pay for all of this? What kind of tax breaks, if any, might those private companies get in order to be involved? Not just how much are they going to pay, but what other benefits will they receive in the process? What kind of tax would be levied on visitors? I think that was pretty clear. A large amount of tax money is going to come from hotel and occupancy taxes. What's the estimated breakdown of each option toward the total cost? How likely is it that local voters would be willing to approve bond issues to cover infrastructure like roadways, park, and neighborhood improvements? Again, what if this comes to a vote? It's less likely, a lot less likely to happen if something like this ever came down to a public vote. Here are my takeaways. I love all the ideas here. I love San Antonio trying to fix a lot of problems at once. Move the Spurs, fix up the Alamodome, the land bridge, the convention center, but that there's a lot going on here. And you know what? This project is big. And the bigger they are, sometimes the harder they fall. I'll just leave it at that. It's simple to understand. Maybe just do one thing at a time. Maybe just the Spurs arena. Forget the Alamodome for now, instead of trying to put this all under one roof. Phases are good, but the phases of 5 to 15 years, like now we're getting into, you may not be able to afford what you plan to do 15 years from now. Prices and inflation and potential tariffs, all this stuff could drastically change what you're even able to do. Also, in terms of really fixing up the Alamodome, like the exterior facade of it, the interior, Is it a realistic venue and host for the NFL or Major League Baseball, like ever in the near future? If you're going to put all this money into it, what do you exactly expect to get out of it? You better be very certain what you're going to get out of it before you put together a package like this. Other than that, look, it's an outstanding location. Everything is centralized. The infrastructure is there. I like this for San Antonio. I wish this for San Antonio. I just don't know how likely all of this is for San Antonio. I hope they can get bits and pieces of it, and maybe primarily that new arena for the Spurs. But again, a 22-year-old building, and by the time their lease is up, it'll be a 30-year-old building, and you got to move out of it. We have to do better in North America with designing these facilities and making them a little bit more sustainable over decades, so we don't have to keep running into construction and taxes and relocation and new arenas. It's kind of getting a little fatiguing. All right, that's the end of this video. Thumbs up down below. Really appreciate you making it here all the way to the end. A thumbs up down below will greatly help me and this video and this channel. And also, before it ends, go down there and make sure that you're already subscribed. That way I definitely get to see you back here next time.